It looks like it's 3:17, so we probably want to get started. Did everybody get a chance to get a schedule of pickleball and fill out the raffle ticket and put it in the jar? So at the end, we're going to have a raffle, and Richard will explain to you the raffle prize. So today, we're really lucky to have Richard Kidder going to tell us his whole story of how he fell in love with pickleball. Oh, hold her, I didn't want to blow your eardrums. Okay. The story of his love affair with pickleball that continues, and it spreads in our community. Everybody knows Richard, who is April's dad and Faye's husband, and that's all we need to know, except that he's a star pickleballer.
Thank you. Glad all you people could come. It's really nice to have you.
You have to hold the mic up to your mouth.
Hold the mic up to your mouth.
Swallow it.
Swallow it. Okay, what are you missing if you don't play pickleball? Well, I'm going to start off.
Closer. There. I mean, it really has to be close.
I'll get the hang of this in a minute. Now, this is a picture of me.
Last
And
week.
the picture that I found was taken in 1937. And I was 6 years old. So you can figure out. But you notice how big that racket is. You know, that's where they made the big old heavy wooden rackets. In fact, that one, they probably too many will remember Jack Kramer, but Jack Kramer was a tennis player, and his name is on that racket. But what I'd like to, before I get into the pickleball part, I'd like to talk to you a little bit about when I was a kid. Like I say, that was in 1937. Well, my father was a tennis player, and so I learned to play tennis like at 6 years old. And as I moved up, I got quite a bit better. And my father and I used to play in a father-son tournaments, and we did pretty good. And when I went to high school, I was on the tennis team, and then I went to college. And I was being interviewed by some people from college, and it was a good thing because one of the guys was a tennis coach, and so he heard I could play tennis. So, anyways, I made the tennis team in college, and which was nice. And I was rated number 1 on the team, and that's good news and bad news. The good news is you're number 1. The bad news is everybody else. His team has a number 1 player too. And we were a small college. I went to New York State Maritime College in the Bronx. We only had a class of 92 people. But my tennis coach decided he wants to play the big team, so we played NYU, City College in New York, Long Island University. So these guys were good. I was a good player, but they were a lot better. So, but it was fun. I really liked to be a tennis player. And then when I got out of college, it was during Korea, so I went right in the Navy. And I got assigned to a repair ship in Little Creek, Virginia, where it's a big amphibious base. And I was on the ship there. And one of the things that happened, I was playing tennis down there. They had beautiful tennis courts. And one day this guy came over to me and he said, the Admiral would like to have you up to the officers club for a drink. So I said, oh, that's nice. So I went up there, and come to find out he was Commander Amphibious Force, U.S. Atlantic Fleet, which is the highest you can get in that particular. And he said, what ship are you on? I told him. And he said, I'd like you to play tennis with us. And I'll call your captain at the ship, and he'll send you out to the courts. So, his aide was the best tennis player on the East Coast. And, so I went back to the ship and never told the captain anything. And then one day he came over to me and he said, "Hey, you gotta get down to the courts at 1 o'clock. The Admiral's gonna be playing tennis." So anyways, it was very nice. I played a lot of tennis with the Admiral and his aide, and it was very nice. In fact, near the end of when I was gonna get out, he asked me, he said, "Would you like to sign up and sign over?" He says, "I'll put you on my staff." I said, I don't think so. Because when a better tennis player came along, I'd probably be out.
Okay, did you beat him? That's what I.
Well, no, that's interesting too. We played in a tournament, and I was playing with a commander, and we got to the finals, and in the finals was the Admiral and his aide. So I said, the commander and I talked and said, "Well, I don't know. This is not good. We could win if we hit it to the Admiral all the time." So we lost. But we were friends with the Admiral, right? This is my family. My wife and I is taken down at Crystal Beach. And
You gotta hit the button.
Hit the button, Richard.
There we go.
oh, it's delayed. She already told me it was delayed. Anyways, Faye and I have been married 68 years, and interestingly enough, we met in the wardroom of the ship I was on at Little Creek. And the day I got out of the Navy, we got married. We had 4 daughters, Allison, Katrine, Nicole, and Deirdre. And Deirdre's here with her husband. And we lost Allison about 10 years ago. She had cancer. But and we have 1 daughter that lives in Salem, Oregon. We have 13 grandchildren and 26 great-grandchildren. But we have 3 pregnant grandchildren. Or I mean great-grandchildren.
Great.
So, it's gonna go up. And I may even get into the next docket because one of our great-grandchildren is 19 years old. And she's going with a boy. So, who knows? See if this comes up.
Just push the arrow. It seems to be too slow. It's going through Bluetooth. Doesn't work.
It's nice when you put family first.
But it's not. We're going back.
Right there.
Yeah, but.
Just hit-
Oh, one more.
Going forward.
Is that too far?
It's not coordinated.
It is
It's
not
not
coordinated.
coordinated.
No, we got.
Wait a minute, let me try this. There it is. Let's try this. You didn't do anything, did you?
No, but it's not coordinated with the, it's losing its connection. We have to keep touching it here. You might have to get, there you go. I don't know why we got 2 though.
Here we
Hit the
go.
space bar.
Okay.
Space bar.
Okay. Now you gotta fast forward a few years. It started in Clear Lake YMCA in 1999. I was a member of the YMCA, and it seemed like around Houston, pickleball was just starting to get popular. And I remember I was in an aerobics class in Hawaii, and somebody said, "Hey, come on over and see this game next door in the gym," and it was pickleball. So that's where it all started. So, like I say, that's 25 years ago. When I've been playing, this is some of the medals that I got. What happened was we got playing pickleball at the Y, and we started to get into tournaments, mostly locally, other YMCAs and other places around Houston. And the more I played, the more tournaments I got into. And I used to play in about 2 to 3 tournaments a year. And it was a lot of fun, and that's why I started collecting medals, because I have over 50 of them now. But it was a lot of fun. And this is a Christmas tree at one of the places I play pickleball called Upside. And they put up this tree at Christmas time. If you want to put up a pickleball tree, I'll help you.
Wait, it's not there yet.
Show them show it.
Oh, it's not there yet.
There.
No wonder, this thing is,
Good, that's good.
that's a nice Christmas tree, isn't it?
It's comfortable.
Let's see if I can get the next one.
She may have to help.
Ooh,
Did you push the space bar? Somebody said push the
there it is.
Hey, now look at that.
In 2000, this is 2013, but in 2012, we started going to the Texas Senior Games every year, and they were played in San Antonio every year. And in order to get to the national games, which is all over the United States and Canada, you had to qualify at a state game. And in the state games, I played in the Texas Senior Games, and you had to be first, second, or third in that particular tournament to go to the nationals. This was the first national I went to. I had a female partner named Connie Bailey. We both actually won both gold medals. I had a gold medal in singles, and then we had a gold medal in doubles, and we had a gold medal in men's doubles. So it's men's doubles and mixed doubles and singles. Those were the 3 general categories that we always went into. And I played singles in all of them.
And you usually have to play down, right?
Yeah,
Because they didn't have.
sorry.
Boy, my teeth.
This is 2014, and this was the Texas Senior Games. Connie and I won 3 medals. We won she won in singles, I won in singles, and we won in mixed doubles. This is a 2017, which means
We're
2000.
still on 13, Richard, on the screen. Yeah, there you go. Back one. That's all right.
The National Senior Games in Birmingham, Alabama was the next one I went to. And I had a gold medal in singles there, and I had a gold medal in doubles, and I had a gold medal in mixed doubles. And it was very interesting. The tournaments back then, we went in age groups every 5 years. And so we like this one, we were probably in the 70s. And because that's about when I started 25 years ago. I was 69. So as we moved up, we moved up in categories, and the tournaments were set up at 5-year intervals. So this one I got there. This was a Mid-South regional tournament. I got singles, gold medal, and we also got a gold medal in doubles.
The internet is not Bluetooth.
Not there yet.
When that turns red, white, it goes bad.
You gotta keep telling
Yeah.
me.
There you
Did it go? Did it switch? Okay, hopefully. There we go. The internet.
Have y'all noticed he has aged at all?
Notice what?
You have an age.
When you gonna get old, Richard?
I don't know. But these were a lot of fun. As we moved up though in age, the number of people we were bracketed with were less. And but it was fun. Like the Mid-South region, probably the singles was probably about 7 or 8 people in a bracket, and the doubles was probably 6 or 7 in a bracket. And the way they played the tournaments back then, they did it in brackets, and you had one bracket at the top, and if you lost, you went down to a loser's bracket. So it was double elimination. So even though you got beat the first time, you could drop down and come across and actually win the tournament. It was a pretty neat way of doing it. And then when there wasn't enough people, like maybe 6 or 7, they would go to a, what do you call it?
Round robin.
Round robin.
Played everybody.
Yeah, everybody plays everybody, and the one with the most wins. Let's see if this works. It'll get there. I hope. But this is the guy I want you to meet. I was playing in doubles in the Texas Senior Games, and this little Italian guy is named Dominic Greco. And he came up to me after we had just beaten him, and he said, "I sure would like to link up with you." And he was from Dallas, so we weren't close, to be able to play much together. But let me tell you, we went on and on and on. We played for another 10 years together. We always played together. He was good. He was good at the net. And we played a lot together. And the other thing was he was the same age as me, which really made it good. Because the age in pickleball is within a year. As long as it's within that year, that's your age group. And so as we went up 70, 75, 75 to 80, and going on up, we always played together. We didn't get much to practice because he was in Dallas, but we practiced enough that we knew what you see how short he is. Well, one play that we had, it was when they served to me, and he was at the net, they would sometimes lob. And we had a trick thing. I would run to the left and he would run to the right. So he covered that side, and I covered the lob. Yeah, that went. Hey, it worked. And this is with Dominic and one of the other pickleball. I've got a lot of pictures of he and I, but we got along really, really well. He was a great guy, and
He's getting bigger.
it could be I'm getting smaller. We went to the 2019, which meant 2018 I had to go to Texas Senior Games. I picked up another lady. That doesn't sound right. Connie Bailey, my original one, wasn't playing anymore. And this lady is a pianist. She used to play for the Houston Symphony Orchestra. And she's quite a lady. She's as tall as I am.
Actually pretty tall.
So, we went to the 2018 Senior Games in San Antonio, and we got first place. And so we went to the 2019 National Senior Games, and she was my partner there, and we won gold.
Did you ever not win gold?
There was a few tournaments that we got silver, but very, very seldom. I never got below silver. But I'll tell you, I've won most of my games in singles. Got double, you know. Okay. This is, how did pickleball happen? And luckily and unluckily, Frankie researched this. And she said, well, we all know that it was in summer of 1965 in Bainbridge Island, Washington. And they were having some fun in the backyard, and they were talking, Dad, nothing to do here. And they said, well, we'll invent a game. And this is where Bainbridge Island is. And this is the truth. This is, the Bainbridge Island is exactly where it started. And they had something called a pickleball. The pickleball creators were three dads and leftovers, Joel Pritchard, Bill Bell, and Barney McCallum. And they created a game with leftovers using a plastic wiffle ball, table tennis paddles, and a badminton net. And that's where the game started. Mom, according to this, named the game which was made with leftovers after the pickleball.
Punch, yeah, make it go red.
And they claimed that there was whoops, I lost everything now, didn't
Yeah, the internet is not happy with us.
Y'all understand he's good at pickleball, but not good at
I'll just go with it.
Oh, no.
Sometimes I don't know.
I? Anyways, the mom said that when they interviewed her that it was named after the pickle boat, and then they had a dog 3 years later, and they named the dog Pickles. But if you talk to one of the other people that were there, McCallum, he said the dog was there, and the dog was playing in the backyard with the ball when they weren't playing with it, so they named him, and the dog's name was Pickles. So, and I like that story better. And it took up until, and this is how slow, you know, you think 1965, it wasn't until 1984 that they started the USAPA, which is an organization to oversee pickleball, and they started to make rules and so forth. So, and that, you know, took quite a while. And any tournament that I was in, I went under the USAPA rules. And you had to have referees and so forth to do the game. Okay, let's look at some of the equipment. And I'm going to go over here to the table. There are rules for the balls. The balls are like a wiffle ball, yeah. And there's two types of balls. One has 26 holes, and one has 40 holes. And the 26-hole ball is used inside. And the outside balls are 40 holes. What's the difference? Not a heck of a lot. I found that the one with the 26 holes indoors is a little slower because I think of bigger holes in it. But there's several companies now that make these pickleballs, Dura 40 and Franklin, so, and they all should be the same. And there's, let's see, dimensions. See if I can do this. Oops, that's too many. Anyway. Okay, then, the other thing in the equipment, of course, is the paddle. The paddle has a certain length and a certain width to make it so many square inches. Like you can take this paddle and you can make it longer, but you have to make it narrower. But some people play with a longer paddle. In other words, you add 2 or 3 inches here, you got to take it off the side to keep the. The other thing about it is the surface. They're very particular about the surface, and that's why most pickleball manufacturers, paddle manufacturers, have to send their paddle in to get it checked. And the surface has to be, can't be too rough because of the spin they can put on the pickleball. And that's very important. In fact, there's a big company called Jula that just got, they were in a tournament, and the USAPA told them that paddle had to go, and they got rid of it. They had to get rid of that particular. Now I understand Jula's suing them, but anyway. But anyways, that's important. And one of the things that when I was playing is when the game first started, they would come up and feel the paddle to see if it was rough or not. Because until pretty late in the game, I guess, they didn't really have to go to the manufacturer to get the pickleball paddle okay. Now you do. So you don't play with a pickleball paddle unless it's okayed by USAPA. The cost. They're going up in price because of the popularity of pickleball. But you can buy a paddle between $40 to $300. Now, what's the difference? Not much. Not much. It's, it's marketing. It's marketing. They want more money. It used to be that all paddles were in the $40 to $50 range. But then the big companies like Head got into it and the price started to go up. So this is the paddle.
Did they ever offer you a sponsorship? Did they ever do that thing?
If you want to see an original paddle,
Oh my God.
these are some of the original paddles. They're all wood. This particular one has signatures all over it because somebody gave it to me at my 90th birthday at a place I play pickleball. But other than the signatures all over, this is the wooden paddles they started playing with.
Is it heavier? Mr. Kidder?
Richard, you had a question. Is it heavier? Is it heavier?
Looks like.
That paddle, is it heavier than your other one?
It is. Really is.
Yeah. There you go. You want to see it?
I should have seen it.
Does it meet specs
But
today?
the other thing is they're hollow on the inside. They've got a mesh in there, but it's still, they keep trying to keep this paddle as light as possible. Because these are light. I'm going to pass one around. What do they weigh? They're about 8 ounces.
7.7 to about 10.
Yeah. But the main thing, like I say, is the hitting surface, where you can put the spin on the ball. This is the dimension for the ball. Like I say, there's 26 holes in the indoor ball, 40 holes in an outdoor ball. And they're tested, they're supposed to bounce, you can hold it up here, they're supposed to bounce so many inches. And so they're pretty particular about, the ball. Oh, I have the official pickleball rule book, and I brought one with me, although it's last year's, but you can buy them online. It's got all the rules in pickleball, and they keep changing the rules. when organizations get big, they have to have something to do, so they change the rules. One of the things that they did several years ago, I don't remember how many years ago now, you used to have to serve straight off the hand. And if it hit the net, it was called a net ball, and you served it again, just like tennis. But they decided that wasn't good enough, so you could drop the ball and hit it. And that's one rule change. The other rule change was there is no more net ball. If it hits the net and goes in, it's playable. And that's the rules that are right now.
Can you serve overhand?
No. When you serve, you have to have your arm. Show you. When you serve, you can't hit the ball above the waist. When you hit the ball up here, it's illegal. You have to hit it down below the waist to serve. So it's an underhanded serve. But believe me, you can get a lot of speed and spin by doing it like that.
Unless you're an underhanded server.
Yeah.
Oh, my God, yes.
Richard, I think you skipped the court. It's back some. That was before the ball.
Oh, yeah. Okay, here's a picture of the court itself. It's 20 feet wide and 44 feet long. And the kitchen, what they call the kitchen, is a non-volley zone. You cannot hit the ball in the air inside that line. That's why I don't know where they got the kitchen from, but stay out of the kitchen. And the court, interestingly enough, is the same size as badminton. Exactly the same size. In fact, they opened up a big badminton center on Airport Boulevard. And they opened it up, and after the first year, they found out, my gosh, pickleball players want to play pickleball there. Now it's practically all pickleball. So, when you, well, let's go to that's not good. I'm going
Everything else is
Okay, when they serve, you serve from, like I say, the right here to be number one. Serve must land in this area here. If it lands in the kitchen or the non-volley zone, it's no good, even if it hits the line. Now this one, this shows the serve. It's got to bounce. The receiver hits it back, and then this receiver cannot hit the ball in the air the first time. He has to wait for it to bounce. And then once that happens, you can go ahead and go into the net. And if you've ever watched any of it on TV, you'll noted that the game is won at the net. Scoring. The one on, hey, it worked. Double scoring, and one thing we do too is you give the score before you serve. Now, this particular one says 10-8-2. That means the serving guy's got 10, the receiving team's got 8, and you're the second server. Now in singles, of course, you only get to serve once anyway, so it's like 10-8. But like I say, you gotta be sure you give the score before you serve. Now the score, you play to 11. You have to be 2 ahead at 11. Some tournaments, they're going, instead of 2 out of 3 playing to 11, they play to 15. You only play one game to 15. Depends on the tournament. Any questions on scoring?
Richard, that server number 2, does that mean, is it his second serve or?
What, this one?
The 2, there in double.
Number 2.
He's the second server, right. If he was the first server, you'd say 10-8-1.
So he's, okay, because in other words, there's 2 servers, there's 2 people on each side. So.
There are 2 servers.
And that sounds easy, y'all, but we're so old, we forget all that.
That's why we have to be reminded.
Would you repeat it? Like John said, we can't hear.
What?
Repeat what John said.
I said, you're so old that we forget every time. We have to be reminded by.
This is the schedule at Eagle Straits. We play just about every day but Sunday, and 7:30 to 9. We went from 8 o'clock. We backed up to try to get a little cooler weather. So it says ladies play, open play, but you really it's a mix. You can go to either one. And these are some of the people you can contact if you have trouble or need more information. I think we've got the schedule we gave everybody. Yeah. Here's some of the ET people. What a group. But I'll tell you something. It's been enjoyable to go out there and play, and you learn a lot of stuff. You learn how the Yankees did the night before. You know, there's a lot of talking, and like John says, there's a lot of, is that in or out? This is your serve. No, you serve over there. And so, you know, it's fun. Is Vince here? Because Vince reminded me, he said, please tell them how much fun it is to go out there and listen to everybody jabber. And and there's no fighting or anything. At least not yet. I also play at Lifetime, which is a Lifetime Fitness Center. And Faye, you better not watch this. These are some of the ladies I play with. And it's a really nice place to play. And these ladies are good. They're really good. So it's been a lot of fun playing with them. But this is a 24-hour fitness center down on City, whatever.
From City Center.
City Center. And like I say, there's as many ladies playing as there is men, and they're good. That's a pickleball court that's being put in the Woodlands. The nice thing about pickleball too, the courts, is you can take a tennis court and go from the net all the way back to the back and put a pickleball court in. And then you can do the same thing from other sides. So every tennis court, you can put in 2 pickleball courts. In fact, some of the tournaments that are being held, the latest one in Texas, San Antonio, they're playing on tennis courts. And they got 14, I think they got about 14 tennis courts, and that converts to 28 pickleball courts. And pickleball used to be an indoor sport. I love to play indoors, but it isn't anymore, mainly because there's too many people playing. They just can't. Now, I'd like to introduce a gentleman that I've known for a long time. He's almost played as long as I have, but not quite. And he moved in here recently, and I want him to talk about how he progressed pickleball into computerized tournaments. Roger Workman. Do you need it? You don't need it.
No, I'm gonna change my whole presentation after hearing yours. Yeah, we don't really need that anymore. All right, Richard. I met Richard, I don't know, I've kind of lost track, somewhere between 2011, 2012. So we have known each other for quite a while. And I wasn't sure why he asked me to come out and talk today until I could see some of the reactions when he's talking about all those medals he won. I was there. I can attest. He won those medals. He earned them all. So, but kind of the interesting thing was, as Richard said, we moved in recently, my wife, Jen. Jen, raise your hand back there. She's back there. Because she becomes part of this story here as we go along. But anyway, we recently moved in, and we were getting in the car and getting ready to go somewhere. And we pull out on what I call the South Road over here, going along the fence, and I'm looking in the mirror, and I go, there's some guy on a bicycle, and he's gaining on us. I said, I think that's Richard Kidder. And no, she's no. I said, what? I said, literally, so I stopped in the middle of the road, opened the door and got out, and there goes Richard. And I go, Richard! And so after several years of not seeing each other, because I had started playing a long time ago, but then had quit playing. And so my pickleball story is I actually was introduced to the sport in about 2009. And as Richard said, where we were playing was at typically YMCA's. And for longtime Houstonians, you may be aware of a place called the Fondy Recreation Center. It's just on the west side of downtown Houston. They started playing pickleball. And so that's where, at the time, there was a Y on the southeast side, which where Richard was, and I lived on the northwest side. There was a Y there where we were playing. But one thing we could do at Fondy was where players could get together. So we would play, Fondy's played Saturdays and a few other times. But again, in those days it was indoors, Richard said, and the hard part was we were competing for court time with basketball players, volleyball, girls' activities, so it was very difficult to get court time. But that's where we started. And in the course of that, I started playing at Northwest Y, and I met a lady who was responsible for youth tennis and pickleball. And she and I became partners, and we practiced together, and we're going to go to tournaments together. And finally, in 2010, we decided we were going to go to the national tournament. Now, Richard was talking about a tournament, national senior games. You had to be 50 and above to play in that tournament. The one that my partner and I were going to go to was in Arizona, and that was anybody. You could be 8 and above and play in that tournament. So anyway, we go out there, we're thinking we're pretty good because in this little community in Houston, we'd been winning. Well, we got it handed to us out there. We were done real fast. And so now I'm out there for a week, we're going to be there, and I go, well, what am I going to do now? I'm out of the tournament. Well, my background was in computers, and so I started talking to the guy who was running the tournament, and he had written a program to run this tournament. That tournament, we had about 190 players. Well, I had time on my hands, so I get to know this guy, and we actually hit it off pretty well. And after that, I could come back to Texas, and my partner wants to run a tournament. So this partner who's at the Y, she wants to run a tournament. So the first one I ran it literally with paper and pencil. So the first time the Y actually did the registration, collected people's money. I took the names, paper and pencil, wrote them down, and that's how we played the bracket. Well, when we come back after Arizona, we come back and we say, all right, let's do another tournament, and we think we can have some more people. And I said, well, let's do this one. At least look like we're smart enough to print the names out on a piece of paper. So I said, maybe we can use Excel or something. But I said, you know, I met this guy in Arizona who's written a program that they ran the national tournament on. I'm going to call him up and see if he'll let me use it. And that started a process of running tournaments. Those tournaments that Richard showed that he won his first medal 2013, 2015, 17, 19, I ended up being the co-tournament director and was responsible for tournament operations in those. So that's how I know unequivocally he earned his medals. And I also ended up running the USAPA national tournaments from 2013 through 2017. So those tournaments were every year, and those again, 8 years old and up. So we're talking tournaments, but really what I want to talk to you guys about is part of the fun that's associated with the game on the recreational side. Most of the people here, besides Richard, and Don Rodriguez been to tournaments, I've been to tournaments, but most of the people playing here are playing just for the pure fun of the game. And one of the things that's made this game fun is the equipment. Okay, so we pass the paddles around. You kind of see what the paddle is. It's a simple paddle. It's at the end of your hand. You know, it's not like that tennis racket that had a big, long swing to it. It's at the end of your hand. It's easy to play with. The balls. What? Is anybody here a golfer? Golfers? We got some golfers? Okay, golfers. Have you ever hit a practice ball? A practice ball? Has it got holes in it? The little practice balls, not a regular ball that you're hitting in practice, but the little practice balls, they look like this, except they're miniature. So what characteristic about that ball? What do you know about that practice golf ball? Doesn't go very far, right? It loses its energy. That's what makes this sport fun and interesting, is that big people, Mike, and some of these big tall guys, they can hit it hard, but the ball loses its energy. So us little short guys like me, we can finally run that down, okay? But that's one of the key characteristics. Now, he talked a little bit about something called the non-volley zone or the kitchen. Remember that? That space is 7 feet away from the net on each side. You cannot go into that space and hit the ball out of the air. So you can't go in there, if you're a big person, get right up against the net and hit down on the ball. You have to stay behind that 7-foot line. So that's another leveling factor that levels out big people playing against shorter people. You can't go into that space. Now, in that picture that he had up there, at one point he was showing about serving. You serve diagonally. So you serve, the ball bounces. When the ball comes back, it has to bounce again. That rule was put in the sport so that somebody couldn't serve and then run to the net and volley the ball, the way it's played in tennis. The whole thing with underhand serve, that was put in the game to level it. So if you're a 6'6" person, you have no advantage because you don't get to serve overhand like in tennis. Everybody serves underhand. So those things were all put into the game so that big people could play with smaller people. People who weren't as fast a foot could play with other people. And that's what's created the fun part of the game. And that's why you may be interested in learning it, because the whole idea is that men can play against men can play against women, grandparents can play against their grandkids. Because the way the game was created, it was created to level out the skill set that required to play. So that's not what I planned to talk about. I really planned to attest to the fact that Richard was winning these things. But I wanted to share some of those things. The other thing about it, the court, it's very small. The guys who invented the court, they literally had been playing badminton. And by the way, I had the chance to meet Barney McCullum before he passed away about 4 or 5 years ago. And that's one of the things he talked about, is they had some big kids and some younger kids, and the kids were bored. And so they had to come up with a game that they could all play. the adults and the kids, and that's literally how the game got started, and that's how the rule set got created, was so that the whole family could play and have a good time. And it's literally the pickleball court is exactly the same dimensions as a badminton court. All they did was they took the badminton net, pulled it down to the ground, and that's how the game got started. And I do like the dog story much better than the boat story. So, even though that might be fact. So, just to give you an idea how this sport has grown. I mean, Richard been playing long before it got popular. Now it has taken off to the point that, you know, in 2010, the USA Pickleball, which was the organizing entity, you have a membership if you're going to play in tournaments. You don't need it for rec play, but if you're going to play in tournaments, there were about 2,000 players registered to play, 2010. Last year, or at the beginning of this year, 2024, that's way over 100,000. The first national tournament that I went to was about 190 players. The 2023 tournament in Dallas was 3,500 players, and they cut registration off. The first year we had 20 courts. In Dallas we had 84. And we're still playing from 8 in the morning until 10 at night. I mean, so the sport has just taken off. You know, the one thing, you know, I always like to talk about too is, I mean, the first time Richard got a medal, if you've looked at those medals on the table, you can look at them afterwards, or they're probably $3 to $5 for a medal. They look good, but they're relatively inexpensive. And everybody, including me and my wife, who were first involved in this sport, we were doing it to grow the sport. We weren't making any money. It was all about just getting the sport out there. Well, now the sport's grown to the point that there's a young lady who's about 16, 17, she's probably 17 now. She'll probably make somewhere between $2.5 and $3 million this year playing pickleball. So that whole side of the sport has taken off. But that's still not where the numbers are coming from. The numbers are coming from the people here, like, having fun, just recreating. And the biggest one thing, I think personally, my personal thought is why the sport grew, is the social interaction. You know, we talk about that here at Eagles Trace, is by being here, we get to meet people and do things with people that we have things in common. Well, pickleball created that basis where people got to get together. And the one thing I'd like to say in closing is that I want to tell you a story. When we went to Arizona for the national tournament, and the national tournament was in Arizona for up through 2017. It was in Arizona. We stayed in a community called Happy Trails. And Happy Trails, as in Roy Rogers really had the part. The streets are like Nellie Bell, Trigger, but it was an interesting place. It was for RVers as well as they had park models, and most of the people who lived there were 60 and older. Well, we met a couple who were in their 50s, and they really, I mean, not only were they younger than everybody else, they seemed a little out of place because of that. But they were pickleball players, and we got to know them. And it turned out the guy I got to know, he had been a prison guard all of his life. He was in his early 50s, been a prison guard, and he inherited, but he got to retire early because he inherited some money. Somebody in his family gave him a bunch of money, and so he left New York, came to Arizona, him and his wife, and they were playing pickleball, and they were living in a park model. And anyway, he wasn't a very sophisticated guy. He had never had big money to invest, and so he left the money that he received as an inheritance, he left it in the same account and with the same firm that he had inherited it from. Well, that was great because every month he got a paycheck and they paid their bills and things like that. And so that's how he left it up. He just treated it like a paycheck. He had the firm send him the money. Well, then along came the whole thing with Madoff, and that was where his money was. So this guy now has no money coming in. That pickleball community got together, supported that guy for 2 years. Him and his wife paid all their bills, all their monthly bills, until the whole Madoff thing got out. Now, he didn't get all of his money back, but he got a lot of his money back. There was a movie, and some of you may have seen the movie. At the end of the movie, they're showing the real-life people who were affected by the Madoff scandal. This guy is a huge guy. He's probably 6'4", 240. I mean, he was just a big man. He's sitting there at the movie where they're showing the people, and he's crying because his life got totally changed. But part of the reason he was crying was in reality that he had all of these friends that he had made through pickleball that carried them through those hard times. And that's to me one of the biggest things about pickleball. People you meet, like, you know, Richard and I have been friends for over the years, even though we had what we had in common was pickleball. I mean, we were a little bit different in ages, and so that wasn't it, but pickleball became the thing we had in common. And that's the one thing, some of you who haven't played and are here, you might want to come out. The other thing, people come out and you don't have to have a paddle. Everybody who's a player typically has more than one paddle. You come out, they share a paddle with you, and all those things I was telling you about how easy it is to learn the game and how the game was designed so that people of different skill can play. You're going to find that in spades here at Eagles Trace. So if you haven't played and you want, you're interested, come out any one of those days. The schedule is up there on the screen. Start 7:30 to 9, and people will be happy to teach you.
Roger,
Yep.
one of the things that I hear a lot is that people are reluctant to come out and play because of safety. Could you just say a few words about how the game can be played safely?
Yeah.
I'm throwing the curve here. But
Absolutely. Well, I mean, it's kind of interesting. I went to the place where, with Don, took me to the place where Richard plays, and one of the things that I noticed there is nearly everybody now is wearing eye safety. Like, I even wear glasses because it's not that somebody's going to hit you, but the ball may accidentally hit somebody's paddle and come off at a weird angle and hit you. So I wear eye safety. But the other thing to teach people is I just did this several times over at Lifetime, was, you know, somebody hits a good shot, you know, everybody wants to run backwards and get it. Even now, I just say good shot and go on to the next one. You know, you learn what to do and how to play the game. You learn it's about warming up. You know, do those things so that you're not only playing today, but you're playing tomorrow. It's you know, you can get hurt walking across the street, but it's also, you're out there, you're meeting people, you're staying active, you know, so I think it's something you might want to consider. So Richard and I are glad to take any questions.
Yeah, one thing, I want to recognize Don for his medal. Let me tell you something. He came up through the ranks with us since we've been here. He's been out there playing. He plays a lot. He's a member of Lifetime. He's starting to get into tournaments, and this is one of his first doubles. He's going to get a gold medal, so I expect him to add some medals in the coming years. Good luck, Don.
Any questions?
Yeah, just a comment, for those of you who have T-Mobile Tuesday, today, they are giving away pickleball sets. They really? Yeah. So you can get a free
So
pickleball
if you're a
set.
T-Mobile subscriber, you can get it.
Yeah.
Richard, Tom's got a
It's
question.
set for me.
Did they ever, you know how these people who are making all this equipment, balls, things of that nature, when they found out you were winning as much as you were, did they ever come to y'all and offer y'all sponsor, you know, like they sponsor you or give you equipment?
No,
They do it in
No.
other sports.
no.
It's a big deal in other sports.
Well, you know, it was a growing sport, and the people just loved to play. They loved to get the medals, right?
Yeah.
And, there was really no money.
What I always used to say at the end of the day, I mean, the medals, like I said, there's $3, $5. I always used to say what you really wanted to do is be playing at the end of the day, which meant you were in the finals, and that was what was the thing I always like to say. But I mean, you get the recognition, and most of the places we have a podium, you know, and in fact, even on my phone now, from the National Senior Games, part of the ceremony at the end was we put you on the podiums and we play the Olympic music. And it's a long song, so you're up there for, you know, and you know, hopefully family and friends are taking pictures, and so that's what it was all about, having fun and then celebrating the fun. That's what it was all about.
Can we get, before everybody leaves,
You gotta teach them one word.
what word's that?
Oh, you got some.
Dink shot.
And the reason, whoops, is that.
Yeah, we have a door prize, and it's a 12-ounce insulated stainless steel mug that I got on and I wanted to get it. So now we got to pull a name out of the hat. And by the way, a dink shot is when you're in the kitchen. One time you can get in the kitchen to hit the ball is when it bounces in the kitchen and you go in after it. And when you start hitting the ball to your opponent while you're in the kitchen, that's a dink shot.
Okay. Georgia Dodson.
Who won? Georgia?
Every Tuesday, they do various things like, you know, an extra 5 cents a gallon off the gas.
Let me give it to her.
We're gonna bring it to the office or things like that. And today, it just happened to be. It just happened to be pickleball. It's a real nice one. So Rosa and I went over and. Oh, you did?
Here's a box for you.
We got, actually, we got 2 of them. One for us and one
Okay,
for.
wait, we gotta get back in there. Get back near the picture so I can get both of you guys. All right, that's great. We got it. Hey, Roger, go up there with your shirt. Yeah, you guys get together.
She wants a picture of us.
All right. Get your water bottle off. There you go, so we can see your nice shirt. Perfect. Perfect. We got it.
Okay. All right. That's it? We're done? All right. Thank you, everybody.
Thank you for coming.
Thank you. You did all the work.
We keep having these
Congratulations. I like
Good show.
Yeah, that's right.
I'm sorry.
No, no, I appreciate it.
He's teaching me how to
Do you want me to make it for 6 people?
They don't go like that.
They just throw it.
No, you can't play with that. You gotta have a power.
Thank you very much. Thanks a lot. Very interesting.
All right, thank you.
Very, very much.
I'll see what I can do.
Great job.
And so we'll just meet you there?
That was terrific. I learned more. Thank you. That was awesome.
Yeah, most of the time it's okay, but it just gives out.
Good stuff. That's what's so wonderful about the trace launch. I hope so. You can see, you can see somebody's got me on. Okay, not.
Oh, very entertaining.
Yeah,
Very
after this,
entertaining.
I'll touch base with you about. Yeah, great job.
What next?